everybody. Welcome back to Popcorn for Dinner. This is Jeff.
And Kelly.
This week, we are going to be talking about Free Willy.
Yes.
I've already forgotten what year it came out. I was just looking at it.
I believe it was 96?
93.
93.
Free Willy, 1993. Okay. Seems a little... I mean, I guess it makes sense. Looking at Michael Madsen, he's pretty similar to what he looks like in Reservoir Dogs. So it's like, okay, all right. Just when he popped up, I was like, really? I'd only ever seen him in Quentin Tarantino stuff. So it was like, oh my God, Michael Madsen. Yeah, Free Willy, which was like, from my perspective or memory of it from way back when, was like a huge thing. Mm-hmm. At least to the point where it like got parodied a bunch and people would always like use references to it. I looked into it and it was like a modest success. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I thought this was like way huger.
Yeah.
It spawned a bunch of sequels.
That I knew.
There's like 3 sequels to it that I had no idea. And a bunch of them have like everyone back pretty much.
That's
like Michael Madsen and the chick who plays the mom and the kid and the Native American guy. All of them are back.
All right.
Yeah. So it was one of those, I'm pretty certain I'd seen it before. Way back when.
Yeah.
Like little things felt familiar, but I couldn't quite like nail it down. Like, oh yeah, and then this is going to happen. And I swear I've heard that Michael Jackson song before at the end.
Oh yeah.
Like from somewhere, but it was like, it was written for the movie. Mm-hmm. And then it came out on an album later, but it's like, I didn't have any of his fucking albums. Where else would I have heard this song? Had to have been Free Willy.
Yeah. Had to have been.
Had to have been.
I had seen it at least once when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But not since then. So it was, like same thing. Like I remembered certain parts, like when they first sneak in to the aquatic park.
Oh, when they're running from the cops and everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that felt super familiar in a weird like deja vu way.
Yeah.
Like even the cake that they steal and then like step on when they're running away from the cops. For some reason, when that happened, I was like, oh my God, I somehow remember this. Mm-hmm. But like just that.
Yeah.
Because then for the rest of the movie, it was just like, okay, and it's a kid hanging out with a whale the whole time.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Which I wrote down later on in my notes. I was like, it takes so long for Free Willy to get to the freeing part of the title.
Yeah.
This movie should have been called Hanging Out with Willy. And then eventually we're going to free him. Because it was like, that's like the last thing they do.
Yep.
They do like everything else. It's like
literally the last thing of the movie.
It's like catch the whale and then find the whale and then befriend the whale and teach the whale and then yell at the whale.
Yeah. Get upset with the whale.
Yeah. Get angry at the whale and then rescue the whale and then free the whale.
Yes.
And overall, like this, I know it's not necessarily meant for like me. It's a family drama. It's like something for both the kids and the parents. So literally I'm neither. So I'll cut it some slack in that sense. But overall, it felt boring. Like nothing was happening.
Yeah.
Unless you're really into whales. Unless like hanging out with a whale is your definition of entertainment.
I would love to hang out with a whale.
I was surprised at how much it seemed like real whale action there was in this movie.
It's because it was a real trained whale.
Well, I was reading that there's like, he said like half of the stuff is an animatronic.
Oh.
And I was like,
okay.
Half? Because it felt like almost none. It felt like it was like whale in the truck, sure.
Yeah.
Like whale in the trailer at the end when they're escaping. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Something tells me they didn't want you.
Yeah.
Something tells me they didn't want to have a whale out there like that.
ASPCA stepped in on that one.
Yeah, but like riding the whale, when the kid rides the whale, it's like, that had to be a whale. Feeding the whale? Like, if it wasn't, that's the most impressive animatronic I've ever seen in my life. Oh, absolutely. Because that was full on a whale. I mean, I'll admit, I'm not a whale biologist. I don't know. I don't know enough about whales to be able to point out the differences. But it was shocking how good that whale looked throughout the whole movie, to the point where I was questioning that was really what I was thinking about most of this movie. I was not really thinking about like, oh, there's this kid and he's a foster kid and his mom left and his new family is just trying to love him. I was like, that whale looks real. Which shot is real? I need to know which shots are real whale and which shots are fake whale.
Yep. I'm assuming that the shot of the whale ramming the glass was animatronic.
I mean, you didn't even really see it ram the glass.
But I don't think that that's like a behavior that they'd want to encourage a
Well, no,
whale
for
to do.
sure.
So that's hence the assumption of animatronic.
It was just like a sound effect. It was like, wow. And then all the people start running out of there. So you assume that the whale ran into it. Like I said, plot wise, there's not that much to it other than just sort of hanging out with this whale. There's really just one plot to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that the guy who owns the aquatic park like hates this fucking whale and keeps saying it throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like losing him money.
And so he's pissed.
Yeah, so he wants to get rid of it. He gives the whale like one shot at making a show so that they can make money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And when the whale fails, then he's just straight up like, I'm just going to kill this whale. and that's kind of the only real plot to the movie.
Yeah.
Because the rest of it all, like it starts off and it's this kid and he's like a street rat, like Aladdin, it seemed like at first. I was like, oh, he just lives on the streets. And then it turns out he like ran away from a group home. I don't quite understand what that whole situation was. Like he has like a parole officer sort of guy,
essentially. Yeah,
Dwight. I don't know what that scenario was, but it's like there's a kid. He was dropped off by his mom when he was like a little kid. She bailed.
Is that what orphanages are like now? Oh.
All of my knowledge of orphanages come from like Futurama. Really, like it's dropped off at the orphanarium. So I'm pretty sure it's not right. I thought a lot about Futurama during this movie because of Bender's big score where he goes and works with Lilu, the narwhal.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of it, I was like, oh, this is probably what that's all about.
Yeah.
Like they took it
Just
from Free Willy.
Bonding with,
bonding with the captive whale or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the kid living on the streets, starting trouble. He and his buddy wind up, they like sneak in while they're escaping from the cops. They sneak into this aquatic park at night.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently their first instinct is vandalism.
Yeah.
They like, because they're escaping from the cops.
Yeah.
Like,
and they think they're hidden. So the first thing they do is pull out their Kansas spray paint.
Not even their Kansas spray paint. I thought that was just spray paint they found in that little shed.
Oh.
And they were like, oh, cool, spray paint. And then decide to just start spray painting everything like little assholes.
Yeah, that also makes a lot of sense.
It's like, again, sort of like last week with Grease, where it's like musicals and me just don't kind of mix. Me and kids don't really mix.
Yeah.
It's hard for a movie to win me over with a kid because it's like, for one, normally their acting isn't great. This kid was fine.
Yeah.
He definitely did not exhibit a lot of the traditional like terrible kid actor things. So it's like, all right, he was cool. The character
was a dick.
He was a dick, and as much as the movie tries to like get you on his side, and not even necessarily on his side, but get you to understand, you know what I mean? It's like he was abandoned. He's at this like group home. He's got issues with that. You know, he can't handle being with this nice family who's trying to do all this stuff for him, you know, like maybe he feels like he doesn't deserve it. They didn't really go into it all that much.
Yeah. He just mentions that he's nervous around them.
Yeah.
And then later says that he's scared when they're fighting.
Yeah. So it's like it alludes to something going on, like some part of his past that does this, but really it seems like his only thing would be like abandonment, which he's in insane denial about.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh no, my mom's just gonna come back, she's just going and doing something. Like, she's just going and doing something. Look, I know you're 12, but come on, kid.
Yeah.
She drops you off at an orphanage and bails for 6 years, and she's like, no, she's got some stuff to do.
Yeah.
And figured the best place for me to be was an orphanage. So it's like, again, I get it. I'm not trying to be like a cold-hearted asshole about it. Like, just buck up, kid. You know, it's like, I'll never understand what it's like to be that, you know, to be a foster kid or to be, you know, abandoned like that or anything. It's like, so I get it that it's not my place to tell him he's being a little shit. But again, it's hard to like connect with the character when they just keep acting like a little asshole all the time.
Yeah.
And breaking things and doing terrible shit. And like that fucking other kid that's with him, what was his name? Perry. Yeah. So they break into this aquatic park, him and this other kid. What the fuck was the main kid's name? Jesse and Perry. So they break into this park to hide from the cops, and they like spray paint all over the like underground viewing area of the whale tank. They get caught, and the kid doesn't rat out his buddy.
Yeah.
Jesse doesn't rat him out, tells him it was all him. So he gets like probation, essentially.
Yeah, they said like consider this your probation.
Yeah, so he has to like go back to the aquatic park and clean up his mess. Mm-hmm. And in the midst of it, you know, he becomes friends with Willy, the killer whale, who's in the tank that he like defaced.
Yeah. Which it didn't even look like he did.
Yeah, he did like none of that.
Yeah, he
sprayed like once.
Yeah.
And then the whale popped up and spooked him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cops came and captured him and made him clean it all up.
Yeah.
Which, whatever. I mean, he's got some sort of street code. He's not gonna rat on his buddy or whatever.
Make his buddy clean it up. Totally different movie.
Yeah. That kid would not have connected with that whale.
Nah.
I mean, truthfully, their connection really seemed to boil down to like, man, Willy really likes terrible harmonica music.
Yeah.
Because that was the whole thing. A kid playing harmonica in the first scene when he gets home with his new family.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, really? This kid plays harmonica?
Yeah.
Like what the hell is that all about? And
that's
then
what you picked up on the street?
Yeah. And then he starts playing it near the whale tank and Willy like loves it and all. And I'm like, what? So Willy's a dick to everybody, because that's the whole thing. Like they explain it over the course of the movie. The people who like take care of the animals, who are like the ostensibly good guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're explaining how Willy's basically like a huge jerk.
Yeah, he doesn't like anybody.
Yeah, he doesn't like anybody. He was apparently caught like too old and too big for what they would like need him to do.
Yeah,
it's like he's gigantic and he's ornery.
Yeah,
and so he's not a good performer whale.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming is a real thing that happens.
That sounds right.
I mean, all of it, the whole movie takes on a terrible, like, there's just like a really bad like shadow cast over it in the post Blackfish era, where you're just sitting there looking at it and it's like, this is basically Tilikum.
Yeah.
A big giant ornery fucking orca that nobody should be near. And they're all yelling at the kid every time he goes near the tank. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? This whale is gigantic and he hates people.
Yeah.
And so the whole time I'm just thinking of that story when that dude got found in the tank like dead on Tilikum's back. And they're just like, what happened in here? It's like, whale.
Yeah.
Who knows, man? Whale stuff.
Guy pissed the whale off?
Just by existing, who knows? So anytime the whale got close to him, it was it's like supposed to be like heartwarming and cheerful, like, oh, they're connecting. But in my head, I'm like, he's gonna get him. Yeah. One of these times, he's just gonna fucking eat him, or drag him underwater by his hair and drown him or something. Like, that was gonna be horrible.
Grab his hand when he's feeding him a fish,
or rubbing his tongue. It's all the long con. He's like, I'll pretend I'm his friend until he fucking goes to grab my tongue, and then he's going down. So he's becoming friends with the whale, and the whale, like, he's the only one the whale listens to. And there's that one line from Ray, who's Lori Petty, who's like who's like a regular apparently on our show.
Yeah.
Being in the army now, and now this. And she's like the trainer for the aquatic animals. Apparently she does the sea lion show, and she's
real
gonna
quick,
do the,
for those who can't place the actress's name, she was Kit in A League of Their Own.
Right.
That's what I will always think of her as. Like, oh,
she's great.
Oh, I love her.
She's the best. So she, and she tells the kid at one point, she's like, Tilikum's a piece of work, and he's like, who isn't?
Tilikum, yeah.
Free Tilikum. She tells him that Willy is a real piece of work, and he's like, who isn't? And it's like, oh, get it? He's like the whale. And I was like, okay, I see where this is sort of, yeah, I get you. But then, like, there's just endless scenes. It's just like him hanging out with the whale.
Yeah.
And then he goes home, and then Michael Madsen kind of tries to connect to him a little bit. Seems like he hates him. I could not figure out if Michael Madsen hated the idea of having that kid there, or if he was really trying to connect with him, because it seemed like he hated him. It seemed like he didn't want anything to do with this, and it was the wife's idea. And she's like, so we're going to foster a kid. And he's like, I guess so. I don't know. And then they bring the kid, and he's like, fuck this. And he just doesn't care.
Yeah, because like the first thing he says about it is that, it's just a lease.
Yeah, it's a lease. I'm not buying yet. It's like Jesus.
Wow.
I get it. You're a foster, so it's not like you're actually
like committed to adopting.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I get that, but at the same time, it's a weird way to put it.
It's a little harsh.
Yeah, so like there's all that going on, but that really didn't interest me at all. Like the selling point of this movie is whale. Like it's all about the whale. So
Yeah.
all this home family life stuff, it's like there was just way too much of it.
When Perry pops up again.
Yeah, that shithead. Oh my God.
Was he on drugs?
I mean, it looked like they did that thing that they always do in the 90s where they kind of made their face a little dirty around the eyes to make it seem like he's like been up all night or something, you know, like or he's like strung out or something.
He had like a black eye that was healing. Like,
yeah, it was just like real dark
also,
bags under his eyes.
Yeah, but he was also like really pale, so I don't know if they were trying to convey that he was like on drugs and that was the business.
That was my assumption because he keeps coming and talking to Jesse about like, hey, me and Dayton or something like that. I forget. He's like, we're gonna be business partners. We're gonna do this. And in my head, I'm like, you're 12. You're not business partners with anybody. At best, you're a mule.
Yeah.
Like that's it. But yeah, so that kid keeps coming back and like trying to turn Jesse back to like the dark street rat side of life. But no, he's got a new lease on life. He's got his new friend Willy.
Yes. He has something to live for.
Yeah, exactly. Which I mean, overall, I dug it. Like for the most part, it was a sweet little story. You know, him and the whale and having fun and teaching him and everything. So much slow-mo.
Yeah.
This movie would be like an hour long if all that slow-mo was just run at regular speed.
Yes.
There was so much of it. But, you know, running around, hanging out with the whale, everything's cool for the most part. I mean, they keep making little mentions here and there about how, like, bad it is for the whale.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he was too old. He's too big. He's in a dolphin tank. He's all alone. Like, just thing after thing after thing about why life is terrible for this whale.
Yeah.
And yet it takes them all the way until the end of the movie to be like, maybe we should set him free. Especially when he keeps crying, like full on, like throated wailing crying. It sounded like playing a theremin with a cat. It was fucking.
That is a great description.
That's what it sounded like.
To me, it reminded me of Walter, the like singing Frenchie.
I don't know who that is.
Oh.
We'll look into that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's this full sad whale cry, and it doesn't sound like the kind of, you know, it's not like the like oh like whale noises. It's this horrible like guttural noise that he just keeps making every single night. And the whole time everyone's just like, what's up with that? Anyway.
Yeah.
No one seems to care.
Why is he making that noise?
Yeah, nobody seems to really take a look into like why this whale is so miserable until finally the kid notices that like there's a family of whales out in the bay that's like right there.
Yeah.
That keep crying back to him. And it's like, oh, holy shit, you have a family.
Like,
oh my God.
Right, that you can hear.
Yeah, that you can hear and can hear you. And they're right over there. And the only reason that they even think of like, oh, maybe we should free Willy is because it's literally about to die.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get that that's a pretty damn good motivator.
Yeah.
Where it's like, should we free this whale? Like, well, if we don't, it's dead. Like, that's true. But in terms of like being good people, again, it might be tainted because of the whole blackfish thing and like learning so much about those places and the way that they operate. But the whole time, like I couldn't be happy at all, even when they were like being successful at doing tricks and shit. Like, oh, he taught him how to do this. Like, well, that's great. He's still fucking miserable. He still cries every night. Like, it was like he's happy in these moments because you're filling him with fish. That's why he's not happy because like you're buddies.
Yeah.
At least that's the way you should be looking at it. It seemed like in the movie the whale could understand him.
Yeah.
In English. He would ask the whale a question and the whale would answer with either shaking its head or nodding.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this movie really trying to tell me that this whale understands this kid? Because then at the end when he's like guiding him to escape, he's not like showing the whale where to go or like pointing or doing anything. He's literally just yelling to the whale like, Willy, go this way, go towards the rocks, you need to go over here. It's like, do you think the whale is listening to you? It's not. It's a whale.
I think they tried to at least a little bit convey that the whale was like mimicking where the kid was going.
Well, I mean, I get that part, but it's just the fact that like there were multiple whale pep talks in this movie.
Oh yeah,
where it was literally just him like, "What the fuck are you doing, whale?"
Yeah,
that one when that like, okay, because like we were saying, the bad guy of the movie, the guy who owns the park, he's like, "Okay, you get one shot at making a whale show work.
Mm-hmm.
And they show off their trick to him with like an empty stadium, and the whale nails it. Willy is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's like, okay, I guess we can do this.
Yeah.
So then they try it with a full like crowd of people who are incredibly excited for this.
Yes.
Like overly excited for this. This is like a sports game amount of excitement that these people are doing for a whale show. Like, I get it. They're cool. I've been to dolphin shows and shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. But the level of like pandemonium and how angry they get when they don't do anything.
Yeah.
Because Willy gets like stage fright. And that's what Ray says, but it's like it's really more like all this noise and all this commotion is freaking him out, so he won't do his tricks.
Yeah.
Which, like, I totally get the idea of people being disappointed by that and the owner being like, well, that was a failure.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that the crowd starts booing the kid and the whale, apparently, and it's like, get him out of here, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Getting all mad about it. It's like, it's a whale show.
Yeah.
You're at a park. It's like, if you don't see the whale show, I get being disappointed, but not like jeering at this small child on stage and yelling at him and the whale for being failures.
Also,
that seemed over the top.
All the adults downstairs in the underground viewing area were terrible.
Seriously.
Like, those kids were just pounding away at that glass.
Like 40 kids all slamming on the glass together, and the adults, it looked like the adults were joining them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this looks like fun.
Yeah.
I bet the whale loves this.
That was infuriating.
Yeah, that was very stupid.
Made me appreciate Brookfield Zoo for having the railing
Yeah.
by the windows.
You think they'd at least have like a sign?
Yeah.
Like, please do not tap on the glass, let alone pound on it like apes. Jesus. But yeah, so they do the show. It goes horribly. And so now the owner of the park is like, well, fuck this fucking whale.
Mm-hmm.
And his plan, I wrote down reverse drown because I couldn't think of exactly what you would consider this. But they essentially like wreck a part of the tank in order to make it leak so that it will eventually leak all the water out and leave the whale in there and he will die.
Right. It's not a matter of not being able to breathe.
Right.
Because
they breathe air. I know.
Yeah. It has something to do with like their skin.
Yeah, I'm sure they like dry
moisture,
out.
Yeah, the moisture of their skin, and then also just the sheer weight of their body and that
on itself, just like gravity hanging on it. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of being suspended in water. Like that's a big thing. That's why like beached whales, they get stuck like that and then they just kind of
they can't roll off of it because it's like fuck.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but like that's his plan.
Yeah.
Is to ruin his entire like park thing. I could not help. Like they say that the whale is worth $1 million. $1
million.
And I'm like, that's great and all. All the damage that you're about to do to your park by flooding the rest of it is easily just going to wash that out. You're going to wind up with nothing anyway. Because you're gonna have to fix all that shit.
Yeah.
The whole underground area is gonna be destroyed.
I mean,
in fact, that whole tank area is probably gonna have to get taken out and redone.
Okay, so we said that it would be like $100,000 to expand the tank.
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea on, I guess, construction costs at that time.
Right, but that's expanding a functional tank.
Yeah.
Not redoing a destroyed and flooded like people area. You know what I mean? Because it's like the tank itself, whatever. It's the fact that all the water in the tank is now going in the area where the water shouldn't go.
Yeah.
And is going to fucking flood all that shit. All the equipment, anything down there is damaged. Who knows how much more damage you're going to do? Like, that's your plan? To kill this whale?
He probably has insurance money he probably has like a separate policy for like each individual area. So they're like the whale has a policy, the tank has a policy, the seating area has a policy.
I mean, I guess, but at what point is it worth it to destroy all of that for the whale?
I don't know. He also hates the whale, so
it's personal. It's just vindictive. He's like, I don't care how much it costs me. You're going down, whale.
Yeah. Even if I end up in the red.
Yeah. So that happens. The kid realizes it. He runs over to Randolph, who is he's like a native American. I forget. I know he mentioned his tribe. I don't remember what it was.
It's something with an H A Hika,
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah, but so he's a Native American guy. He works at the park. He works with the whales and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time he's kind of been like a mentor to this kid, Jesse.
Yeah.
You know, like teaching him the ways of the whale and, you know, all these crazy things. He teaches him this prayer about orcas, and he tells him this like legend of the, you know, one of the braves who got lost on the ocean and carved a whale out of wood, and then it turned into a real whale, and that's where orcas came from and all that stuff. Which is fine and all. I did not expect that prayer to come back right at the end there, and that really weirded me out because I was like, "Is this supposed to be magic?"
Yeah.
I didn't quite get it. But so he lives right near the park, and when the kid realizes that the tank is leaking and Willy's gonna die, and he runs over and he fucking pounds on the door and he wakes Randolph up and he gets him and he's like, "They're gonna kill Willy. We need to get him out of here. We need to get him back to the ocean to his pod and all that." And fucking Randolph is like immediately on board. He wastes no time. He's just like, "Well, I hated this job anyway.
Yeah.
Let's go." Like, not even a moment to think about the logistics of getting that whale out of there or any of it. He was just like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah.
Ray
we'll figure it
takes
out.
longer to figure it out. She's like, "What are you guys doing?" And they're like, "We're getting a whale out of here. What the fuck do you think?" And she's like, "Guys." And then they convince her, and she's like, "Okay, fine, I'll help."
Yeah.
But she takes longer than fucking Randolph. Randolph's like, "I was thinking of doing this anyway. Let's go."
Yeah. She's waiting for the time.
Yeah. And so they get the whale onto a trailer, like using, I'm assuming, normal whale moving tactics. It seemed like that's what that stuff was meant for, right?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
I've seen it. I've seen enough of the aquarium shows and whatnot.
I've seen enough whales moved in my day.
Not whales, but like dolphins. I'm assuming it's just the same thing, just bigger.
Yeah. So they're getting him out of there, but I guess they don't have a truck or a vehicle to move it.
Yeah, to pull the trailer.
To pull the trailer itself.
Because you can't use the forklift. It'll go too slow.
Yeah. So the kid goes and steals his new foster dad's truck.
With Randolph. He has Randolph drive it.
Oh, yeah. Randolph steals it. So technically Randolph stole that guy's truck.
Yeah.
Which it seems so crazy to me because over the whole movie, it's like the mom and dad are just trying to convince this kid, like, let us help you. We're here for you.
Yeah.
And it seemed like that should have been the perfect moment for him to be like, I'm going to need to put my trust in these people and I'm going to need to ask them for help. And instead he's like, nah, we're going to steal his truck. We'll get the help later when we fuck up.
Yeah.
Because then they fuck up and the whale almost falls down a hill or something.
Yeah. Like
the trailer almost slides down a
cliff.
hill. And then they finally get a hold of the parents like, oh, okay. It's like, he should have just asked them for help. Because it's like, God damn it, man. I couldn't imagine being Michael Madsen in that movie. Just like all the time, constantly being like, where's the kid? Oh, he's just disappeared. Oh, and then he shows up 4 hours later. Or it's like, oh, what's that? He broke the goddamn window in the bedroom? God damn it. Or all the other crazy shit he does. And then finally it's like, and he stole my fucking truck. I understand why he doesn't want the kid.
Okay, so they finally get Glenn and Annie's help.
Right, that's their names. Those are the people's names.
Yes. And they get the whale out of the conundrum. And then get to the docks where they proceed to ram the gate of the, or not the docks, sorry, get to the marina.
The marina.
Glenn was driving his truck, right?
Yes.
Okay. He really committed with getting that whale into the water with how far he backed his truck up.
Oh, yeah. He just he dumped his truck into the water to get
like he didn't brake at all.
Yeah.
He just essentially, it looked like he could have even just put it in neutral, let the incline do the work, and that was it.
No, he was fully committed. It seems so fucking silly to me that they show up finally, the kid calls them for help after they get the whale stuck. And he's like, oh my God, I need you guys' help. And they show up and they see what's happening. And the kid's like, you need to help. I'll do whatever you want. And Michael Madsen's like, what do you think I want from you? We just want, you should have called us for help because you'd think we would help you, not because, for a trade-off or something.
Yeah.
And the kid's like, just save him, we'll do whatever you want. It's like, see, Glenn, all you needed to do to win this kid's, love and respect is just save a whale. Yeah. That's all. He has to go through so much shit, even though, they've already shown him so much hospitality and trying to, show him a good home.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so I understand all that stuff you guys already did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also going to need you to save this whale.
Yeah.
And then I will finally give you a hug.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was so silly. It's like, really, kid? They've done a lot for you. And I get that you're messed up and that you've got some issues and all that. But the fact that it was like, oh, you're going to do something absolutely fucking ridiculous and save this whale for me. Now you deserve my love. The fact that he never like apologized for being a little shit all the time kind of bugged me.
Yeah, he never apologized for breaking the window.
Yeah, breaking the window, stealing the truck, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, well, I'm messed up, so, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool.
Dwight said I'd get a few chances.
Yeah, that was weird, too. At the beginning, he's like, you don't get infinite chances, but you get some chances. Mm-hmm. And then by the end of the movie, it's like, yeah, he got a shitload of them, man.
Yeah.
So they get the whale to the marina. Mm-hmm. They back the truck into the water.
Yeah.
They're ostensibly freeing Willy at this point. Mm-hmm. And the whale like won't go anywhere. He's just sitting there. Mm-hmm. They're like, whale, come on, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And he finally just like works up the fucking nerve to do it. I don't know what, like it wasn't like something happened and it sprung him free or whatever. It was literally just like, Willy, what are you doing? Willy, they're coming. Willy, they're here. We're fighting them in the water. The bad guys are here, Willy. What are you doing? And then Willy was finally like, oh, yeah, cool. All right. Hey, I'm a peace. Yeah. See you guys. Like, whale.
You could have saved so much time.
Yeah.
Maybe not gotten caught by the boats with the nets.
Again. Dumbass. Obviously don't actually believe that. Whales shouldn't be caught in nets anyway. So he's going and he's trying to escape, but the kid guides him over to like the rock boundary of the marina and whatever. And so it's this big like rock wall.
Ray asks Randolph if he had ever seen Willy jump that high.
Right.
And his response was just golden because his exact response was, things can happen. That's like not a no, I haven't, or like any sort of straight, like things can happen.
Just getting all the way to that point and that being like the last thing between it. And it's like, oh my God, could this actually work? And it's like, oh.
Things can happen. Yeah,
shit
maybe
happens.
It does, maybe it doesn't.
It's literally like shit happens.
Yeah.
Which like is really hysterical in the context of the Free Willy director's cut joke they make in The Simpsons, where Homer's watching Free Willy the director's cut, and the kid is like, Willy, go! And it jumps up, and then it's like, oh, Willy's not gonna make it, and he lands on the kid. So the idea that if the rest of that movie went the same, then they said, can Willy make it that far? And he's like, things can happen, and then the kid gets crushed. Which, hey, that could happen too. Who knows?
Yeah. That's what do they say? Like 3.5 ton. Yeah. Something like that animal flying through the air.
Oh man, which it was pretty hysterical. The obvious CGI of that whale, which it's like, I'm glad that they held off.
Yeah.
And that was it. But at the same time, that was a real, like that little sequence was not nearly as cool or iconic as I thought it was going to look. There's like the one shot of it going over the kid's head and his hand is kind of reaching up at it and he's like, yeah. And that looks pretty cool. But the shot of it coming up out of the water and the shot of it going back down into the water are garbage.
Yeah.
They're really bad looking.
Back down into the water
was
worse.
Really bad.
That was like, come on.
But like, I feel like the VHS cover is like a shot of the whale in like midair over this kid's head. And I was waiting for that shot and you don't get it. Yeah. I was really bummed by that. I was like, oh wow, that was actually almost anticlimactic. Like even though he is free, and it's like it is the happy ending. The fact that you got kind of gypped on the cool whale jump shot kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, come on, man. This could be a movie you could remake now.
Oh yeah,
with practically no difference and probably a whole lot way better like subtext regarding shitty animal and captivity stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Where maybe they have a little bit more focus on freeing the whale before the last 10 minutes of the movie. It's the title of your movie.
Free the damn whale,
Free
movie.
Fucking Willy. Do it already. Don't just hang out with Willy for an hour and a half. It's just silly, man. See, one of the first things I wrote down was actual whales or animatronics? Because I was full on confused. I was like, I don't know, man.
I wrote, well, it was my third note because my first two notes were just about how it was like a solid couple minutes of just whales breaching.
Yeah.
Like that,
which was cool.
Like, yeah. And like that is actual whale footage.
Yeah, clearly.
But when it gets to Willy being caught, I wrote that I couldn't tell if it was.
When he's like coming up to the net and everything?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was like, real whale? Or I wrote CGI because for whatever reason, my mind didn't even think animatronic.
Yeah.
But yeah, couldn't tell.
Oh, also another thing that I wonder if it was real or animatronic because it was like horrifying and sad were those close-ups of Willy's eye.
Yeah.
It would always like cut to it. And for one, he looked so pissed all the time. Do whales have like red eyes like that?
I don't know.
Because he was fucking spooky looking, but he also like it. He looked kind of like drowsy and out of it too. Which I mean, I guess he could be if he's in captivity and he hates it and he's lethargic and whatever. That he just kind of looked like fuck. But it was always really creepy whenever they would cut to it. Like, could you please stop?
Yeah.
I don't want to see that. Just a sad whale. Especially, I was reading up later. The whale's name was Kiko.
Mm-hmm.
The real whale
Mm-hmm.
in captivity.
Mm-hmm.
And after the movie, everyone was like, hey, maybe free that fucking whale like your movie said.
Yeah.
And people, they were like, okay. So it was this big, huge thing about freeing Kiko.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. And it was a disaster because she had been in captivity too long.
Yeah.
So it was like constantly coming back to people for food and couldn't re-ingratiate itself with the rest of the whales. And it was like, I don't know where to go.
Her pod.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do or where to go. And then I died.
Yeah.
And it was just like this whole, like it's, I understand at the time, people watching this movie are probably just like, that was a nice feel-good picture.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole concept of whales in captivity is so nasty.
Yeah.
And all the shit we've learned about since then, and I'm sure we knew about back then and people just didn't fucking talk about it.
Yeah.
But after that, all that shit, it's like, it's so hard to watch a movie like this and just be like, no, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
In any shape, way, or form. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it's gross. And I really, like, honestly, not even to be on like a big political soapbox or something. It's like, I do hope that people in the future like look back on shit like SeaWorld and animals in captivity like that and just be like, the fuck were you thinking?
Yeah.
And I hope that, Free Willy just kind of goes away. That nobody sits and thinks like, oh, what was fucking great way back when? A classic Free Willy. It's like, you know what? We can just forget about Free Willy. Just no more of that. We don't need it. And was that kid really going to go to California? What a fucking idiot. He's 12.
Yeah, seriously.
I really hated that too, because it's like, okay, so his shithole friend Perry comes back and he gives him this shitty Venice Beach postcard. And it's like, that's where me and Dayton are going. If you ever go down there, look me up and we'll hook you up with whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, fine. And then the kid goes and talks to Glenn. And I mean, I guess he's being a little bit insensitive because he is kind of a jerk throughout the movie. But at the same time, it's like, kid, you have to fucking accept that your mom is not coming back. And every single time he would go back to that of being like, I'm just waiting for my mom to come back, or I'm going to go find her, or this. It just, I was just sitting there like, kid, stop.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, I feel for him. It was like, stop it. You were causing so much trouble for everybody by doing this. And I know it's a shitty way to look at it. Kid's going through a lot. I don't care. It's a movie. It's a character, and that character sucks. But he goes and he talks with Glenn, and Glenn is basically just lays it on Front Street like that for him. He's like, kid, she's not coming back.
Yeah.
And he's like, fine, that, fuck it. And he goes and he wants to leave.
Yeah.
And he takes that postcard that's just sitting on his nightstand for some reason. Like, he clearly doesn't want to hang out with this kid. He's seen him like twice.
Yeah.
And each time he's like, no, I don't know. I'm not doing that. He like doesn't even want to look at him.
Yeah.
And so it really seems like he's like, I'm done with that part of my life. Why did he fucking have the postcard? Why was it on his bedstand for him to look at and be like, yeah, I should go to California? You idiot. And then to make him even less likable, when he gets to the tank to apparently say goodbye to Willy. I don't know why he goes to the tank if he's so mad at the whale. Yeah. Because he's telling the whale off.
Yeah.
He's like, what the fuck was with that today anyway, whale?
It's his only friend.
I guess. But, you know, he was like getting all up in the whale's grill about not performing at the thing and everything. And it's like, it seemed like the kid knew what was going on. He was like looking around and seeing all the people like clapping and stomping and making noise. And then he saw the whale run away. But he saw the whale, you know, not do what he was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, geez. And then later he's like, what the hell was that all about, Willy? And it's like, you know.
Yeah.
What the hell, kid?
You were there.
Yeah. And why are you being such a jerk to the whale? It's a whale. And he's like, oh, now you want to mess around. It's like, dude, chill. I like the whale more than the kid. I think that's the issue.
Yeah. I did too.
Yeah, I definitely have absolutely zero inclination to watch any of the other Free Willy movies. Again, for the same thing. The whole thing feels icky.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to watch it because it's such a, like, classic name. Like, you know, you say Free Willy, fucking everybody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, even if
like,
they were
oh my
born
God.
after the movie came out.
Yeah, it's like Free Willy. Oh, the Killer Whale movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, everyone fucking knows Free Willy. So it's like, okay, let's go back and take a look at it. Definitely one that I don't really know anything about. And then watching it, it was like, probably could have just left it that way.
Yeah.
I didn't need this. I didn't need to feel bad for whales. Didn't really hit me with anything special.
Yeah, I mean, I like movies about animals.
I mean, the score was pretty good. It was kind of repetitive. They kind of used that same triumphant theme for everything.
Yeah.
It was like escaping from captivity, that music. Learning to like eat a fish, that music. Like even the tiniest little thing would get the like triumphant fucking waltz of the whales music going on. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week of Popcorn for Dinner. This is Jeff.
And Kelly.
Damn, I was going to say something about a whale.